I guess this video is just going to be a public service announcement on my opinion on current events and this what's his name, Jacob Blake, and then you got Kyle Rittenhouse, right? So as I said before previously, Yonks85, as a matter of fact, sent me the video 2 days ago. And I saw the video, and I saw him casually walk around the car and reach into the car with the cops already drawn on him, trying to get him to stop where he was going, not listening to lawful commands, and then reaching into the car and the cop shooting him in the back, 7 or 8 times. Okay? I've seen every emotional response in the world, and that's what they are, emotional response. People want to talk about, and articles are talking about, oh, he was just breaking up a fight. He was breaking up a fight. I'm like, doesn't have anything to do with him reaching in the vehicle, and the officers are already drawn down on him and giving him lawful commands, and he's not complying. What else do people bring up? People are bringing up, oh, well, he has a criminal history and all this other shit. I'm like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he had a squeaky clean record. He's walking around the car casually. Officers, are already drawn down on him with guns, and he's reaching in the vehicle. You don't know what he's reaching in the vehicle for. You can't see what he's reaching in the vehicle for. The officer who's behind him can't see what he's reaching in the vehicle for. Some of you all need to go over and watch channels like Active Self-Protection or Police Activity. There are plenty of videos that go from 0 to 100 real quick. There was a video, I think it was on Active Self-Protection. It had a police officer dealing with a white guy, and I don't know what the issue was. Somebody called 911. I don't know whether he was threatening to commit suicide. Oh, the white guy, he was acting all nonchalant and cool, and out of nowhere he pulls this revolver out of his looked like they were in like a backyard alleyway or something. Pulls this revolver, out of his coat pocket and shoots the officer in the face. That officer did not make it. Okay, so shit can go from 0 to 100 real quick. There's just certain things that if you do, I'm going to be like, yo, that was justified. Okay? We live in America. Americans have guns. Police officers are concerned about guns. And, but despite all of the shit that's going on and, the fact that police brutality exists, this incident, for the people that want to jump up and try to say, oh, this is an example of, this is a bad example. And I hate when people, either the media convinces people to jump on the bandwagon with bullshit like this, or black people are not intelligent enough to recognize to not jump on bullshit like this. Because this is the equivalent of, it's like when women falsely accuse somebody of rape, like the Hofstra players, or the Duke lacrosse players, or that chick in Connecticut that lied on the Connecticut basketball player, or the Brian Banks situation, or the Marcus Dixon situation, okay? False accusations of rape diminish conversations that revolve around the issue of rape. So false flags on police brutality diminish the conversations about the seriousness of police brutality. Okay? By the same token, the white people running around acting like because this is a bullshit example that people are jumping on means that no police brutality happens anywhere is about as dumb as somebody trying to say that because there's women who make false accusations of rape, that rape never happens. That's retarded. But yet that's what I see coming from the comment section of white people, talking in the comment section. The other thing, what's his name? The Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, I see people running around talking like, and I noticed the racial disparity, the racism, in a lot of these white folks' comments. They're like, this is self-defense. They're jumping up and down. It's all self-defense, right? And I don't know why this guy was attacked. I don't know why they got a guy chasing him down with a Molotov cocktail. And then you got, he shot at that guy or shot that guy. And then, the mob was like, get him, right? I'm like, he's got a rifle. Get him. I'm like, okay, you about to play stupid games and win stupid prizes. And did I not just say this? Did I not just say this about the radical left and talking about how y'all are stupid and you're like, we need gun control and all this other shit, and you think you can go out there with your signs and marching and protesting and all that shit, and you think like they can't stop us all, and I'm like, they got rounds for each and every one of you. I don't understand Russia. And this is like, this flies in the face of all the shit that the Gabby Gifford and Bloomberg organizations talk about. Oh, when somebody's, reloading, you can just rush them. You know what I'm saying? And so this guy's trying to run away from the cops, and they rush his ass. And, he's fumbling over, firing the gun and switching the safety off and all that type of shit. Yeah, and they try to rush his ass, and they got shot. Which would have happened if there was a freaking mass shooter. But I don't know what he was out there doing. I don't know what he thought. But the thing that I focused on, because when I heard the story, I was like, okay, I don't know what the story is. Maybe he shot somebody and that's why the mob reacted. I don't know what the deal is. All we see is, he's being chased and he falls to the ground because the kid's fat, okay? But notice what I just said, the kid. Yeah, I found out that he was 17 years old. And white people are running around, that's a self-defense. I'm like, he's 17. He's 17. In all states across America, you cannot open carry until you are at the very least 18 when it comes to having a long rifle. Handguns, you got to be 21. Okay? So I'm like, he broke the law already. Now, some people are saying it's a misdemeanor. Other people are saying it's felony. I don't know what it is. I don't care. All I'm saying is he broke the law. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I look at the situation like it's the fruit of the poisonous tree. Now, unfortunately, the way that the law is going to play out, and I just think this is fucked up because, it's like, how many often do you see, and I've heard stories like this, and I was looking for cases, but I couldn't find any cases because how fucking YouTube's Google search is. But I'm saying, right, let's take white people and let's put them in a room, right? And let's say there's a black guy who's a drug dealer and he is carrying a gun illegally for self-defense because of rival gang members. And so he comes across the rival gang member starts shooting at him, he shoots back, kills the rival gang member. Okay? Now, he's in the wrong, he's going to get charged with unlawful possession of a firearm, right? But should he be charged with murder? That's the question, right? Now, when I look at this situation with the Kyle Rittenhouse guy, I'm like, first off, this whole thing of, we're gonna defend this property and that property, which I think is not legal in Wisconsin to defend property with firearms. But again, you'd have to go and look at Wisconsin law. Okay? But the whole thing of bringing firearms to a protest, especially when you're not, like I can see somebody standing in front of their own personal business, but all this malicious stuff and all this symbolic bullshit about going out there and showing a force arm, I'm like, that's just asking for trouble. It's a bad mix. So anyway, I'm saying the guy is, Kyle is 17 years old, and which, the maturity level, all that shit. I'm like, you got a bunch of states passing laws saying, you got to be 21 to have a long gun now, right? So again, 17-year-olds are not intellectually mature, which is why we still see them as children in the eyes of the law. They cannot enter contractual agreements and get married. They're not emancipated adults. All right. And I had a couple people that were arguing with me. I'm just texting on my phone and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker, you go out there and go and fuck with a 17-year-old girl and then tell me that you're not going to get paid a visit from Chris Hansen. If you want to sit there and act like 17-year-olds are adults. 17-year-olds are not adults. 17-year-olds are minors. So at the very least, he's breaking the law by open carrying, because a 17-year-old in any state cannot open carry without supervision. Like the provisions and exemptions underneath hunting and shit like that. If you're in the woods with your dad and you got a rifle, that's cool. Okay? But you being out there independent, like you're a fully functioning adult, okay? Not cool. So unlawful possession is what he's going to get hit with. Now, as it pertains to the people attacking him, clearly he was being attacked. Clearly he tried to retreat multiple times. You see him running away. The guy throwing the Molotov at him. The crowd of people coming at him where he tripped on the ground and then finally turned around and proceeded to fire at the people that were attacking him. I'm like, why are you chasing down a guy with a rifle despite this kid being in the wrong? I'm like, again, people are throwing up murder charges. I'm going to be real. I would like to see murder charges. The way that the law is written, there's probably not going to be a conviction on the murder charges that he's being hit with. I think that they threw up the murder charges to appease the masses and silence the critics, that he's going to be hit with this serious thing. But if anything, he's going to lose his gun rights forever, and he's going to be charged with a minor unlawful possession of a firearm because he's a minor or whatever. That's what's going to happen. But there's all of this types of whatever situations within law, that play out differently. Like if you're like, but see, like I hate these laws because you get other laws that when you try to balance it out, they don't really make sense. Like it's like the type of shit that, like, if you're in the commission of a crime and let's say your assailant gets murdered, you get charged with murder in the commission of a crime. But yet you can go out there and be in unlawful possession of a firearm, and you can be in unlawful possession of a firearm, and that ultimately results in the killing of somebody, and you're not going to be charged with murder. I mean, he was charged, but I don't think it's going to stick. I think they did that to appease the masses. And like I said, the disparity is, if this was a black drug dealer that had a firearm for self-defense because he's worried about rival gang members, and he kills, another black man. I remember they had a case where it was a black guy. It was an undercover cop, and the undercover cop didn't identify himself. He thought it was a rival gang member because, remember, the cop's supposed to be undercover, and he pulled out with his illegal firearm and shot the cop. Okay, and he claimed self-defense, and they threw his ass in jail and said that you murdered a police officer, 25 years to life or whatever. Right? So the way that the law plays itself out is it's not one size fits all. It's not clear cut. Am I a fan of it? No. I'm like, you go out there and you go and you engage in protesters and you're armed. Like, I hate these people that go out there and they want to show their guns and all that shit. I'm like, you better be prepared to use it and deal with all the consequences that are going to come with if you use it. You know what I mean? You better have that USCCA insurance and all that shit. You better have that shit if you're going to go out there and do all that shit. Again, if the guns are for self-defense, that is what they are for. They are not for offense. They are not for intimidation. They are for self-defense. That's my personal belief about it. But, these people, they got something to prove, and they want to go up there with all this symbolism, and now they put themselves in all this sort of situation. Okay, his ability to become a police officer is now over. Whatever hopes and dreams he had about becoming a police officer is over. The other thing that I'm looking at black people like, sit down and shut up. First off, this was white on white violence. This is what I hate about the title of the name of the organization, Black Lives Matter. Because if you looked at any of them videos in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin, what fucking black people live in Kenosha, Wisconsin? I don't even know where the fuck that is on a map. Okay? And yet all the people you see, the vast majority of them that you see, pushing the fence and all that other stuff are young white people. Okay, and this is what I've said about all these white people that want to run around and they're having fantasies about shooting a bunch of urban inner city black people and whatnot. I'm like, no, you're going to shoot your own. You're going to be shooting your own suburban ass children that are out there. Now, they may be out there for different motivations. Antifa, they hate Donald Trump. You know, they want the world to be more inclusive. Who knows what reasons they're out there. They may not all specifically align, with black people. Hell, I don't even align with Black Lives Matter and all its LGBTQ, agenda that's sitting right there up on its website, on the About page and on the Her Story page. I don't know what the fuck that is. Okay, but because the name of the organization is Black Lives Matter, even when you see hordes of white people, the way that the media on the right will talk about it is like it's all black people running around all over the place. I was like, I ain't seen nothing but white people. Nothing but white people. I think one brother did get shot because you can see him he tried to stomp on the dude and he got shot and he limped away. Okay, but the other two white people, they dead. So here you got a white shooter that shot two white people. One of them was a part of the LGBT community because they were talking about his partner on the news. Okay, so again, here you have the infiltration of the LGBT community within an organization titled Black Lives Matter, but really doesn't have anything to do with black empowerment or restoring, heteronormative, cisgendered patriarchy in the black community. These people are against that. They want to destroy all hierarchies and all that other shit. So, as a straight, heteronormative, cisgendered black male in America, I got mixed feelings on all of this damn protesting. Because truth be told, despite the fact that black men's bodies are used for the currency, for all this marching and protesting, I know for a fact that shit ain't really about me. It ain't about me. So I got mixed feelings, but yet Black Lives Matter. And then again, no matter how many white people are out there, black people are the face of the shit. They do that shit. They do that shit with everything. With everything. You want to impeach Donald Trump? Put Maxine Waters' face up there because that bitch don't know how to shut the fuck up. Right? Even though you got probably about 50% of the country that possibly wants Donald Trump out of the office. Okay? But yet, put a black woman's face up there. Same thing with cancel culture. Put a black woman's face up there. Okay? Black Lives Matter. Put black people's face up there. Even though we see, white people all over the place that are out there, with these protests. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're out there for exactly the same reasons that black people are out there. Don't get it twisted. Okay? When you see Antifa out there, Antifa wants anarchy. They want the whole system collapsed. They're on some freaking Fight Club type of shit and want to blow up all the servers and shit. That's what they're on. Okay, so they're trying to hijack the movement, and black people out there stupidly letting them all out there in their feelings and their damn emotions. Again, the Jacob Blake, I think that's his name. Unfortunately, they're saying that the brother's paralyzed and all this other stuff. And I mean, he got a long history of criminal history. People, again, are like, oh, well, it has something to do with his past. It doesn't have anything to do with his past. His past is irrelevant. In other words, do I think that the cops were aware and they had a heightened sense of him being threatening? Yeah, sure. But regardless, even if you had a squeaky clean record, you cannot walk around the car and reach into your car as police officers have guns drawn on you. You are going to get shot. Okay? And maybe, myself personally, I feel this way because, I'm a card carrying CCW holder. And so because of that, you have a different mentality when you're carrying a firearm, when you're carrying a lethal weapon. And you do constantly think about how cops are going to interpret you and your movements and what you're doing. And you need to be perfectly clear to the police officer what you're doing or what you're complying with or what your next move is so that they understand. Okay? All this stuff like, man, fuck these motherfuckers, you know, all that dumb ass nigga shit, all that street shit, all that ego shit, all that, man, ain't nobody tell me, you know, all that dumb shit, all that's gonna do is get you shot. Plain and simple. Like I said, people can be in their feelings all they want. I looked at that video and I was like, nah, that shit was justified. You reaching in the car? He don't know what you real. Oh, he was reaching for a t-shirt. I don't give a fuck what he's reaching for. If I was the cop standing behind him, I would have shot him. Because I don't know what you reaching in the car for. And again, with the prior knowledge of, you know, his criminal history that I'm sure those cop officers were aware of, they were at a heightened level of what do you call it? Alertness. But again, regardless of whether he had a criminal history, if I'm giving somebody a lawful order and they're marching to their driver's side door with intent, I'm thinking that there's a firearm on the floor, you know, by the brake pedal and the gas pedal, or one under the seat, and I think that they're going to reach for that, and the next thing you know, all hell's going to break loose. As an officer, and I got my other fellow officers around me, I can't allow that to happen. Plain and simple. I don't know what he thought he was doing. But again, this is where you get into this, the invincible motherfucker, I do what I want, you know, I don't respect structure, don't get me started on the matriarchy, you know, because women be on that same shit too, and that's why you see situations where they get knocked out and they get their ass beat, and even when they're being rescued, like that black woman that was pregnant in Florida, where the dude with the Texas hat, you know, came out and was trying to protect her, and she didn't keep her dumb ass in the car, and she's still running her mouth. I'm saying, it's situations like that. I'm like, where does this shit come from? You know what I'm saying? Like there is a mentality of, I'm just gonna do what I want and fuck the police and all this other shit. I'm like, them motherfuckers have a gun and the end of time on their hip. You need to recognize that shit. And, you know, but then again, I can look at the white guys that were a part of, you know, Black Lives Matter or Antifa or whatever the fuck it was, and I'm like, 17 years old or not, pudgy little short, freaking, you know, piggy from Lord of the Flies looking motherfucker, regardless of what you want to think, I'm like, he's got a rifle. He's got a rifle. So I don't know what you think in terms of that you going, I mean, y'all be having fantasies in your head about how this is going to go down, and we're going to, you know, you're going to run up and he's going to aim the gun at you, and you're going to like do like the Neo in the Matrix dodge bullet shit, and then you're going to, you know, go in and grab him and knock him to the ground. I'm like, man, y'all on some other shit, man. Y'all on some other shit. I'm like, motherfuckers got a rifle. If you see somebody with a rifle, the only way you stop somebody with a rifle is with a rifle. Plain and simple. All that shit, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to tackle, and all this other shit. I'm like, y'all, I just didn't understand it. I looking at the video, I'm like, this motherfucker's got a rifle. And I'm like, oh, as soon as he fell, I was like, oh, it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad because now he's got nowhere to go. I'm like, okay, now he's going to feel like his only option is to protect himself. And he's going to let off a couple rounds. The next thing you know, pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh, I fucking knew it. I was like, I knew it. Because he couldn't get away because his ass is too fucking pudgy. You know, and he's got all these stupid ass ideas, probably spent too much time on fucking social media and Breitbart and all this other stuff and all these inflammatory right-wing websites that are like, yeah, and they're destroying America and blah, 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 you know, and so they go out there, they're jerking off to that shit, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna have a gun and go out there and I'll give them a piece of my mind and I'll show them, yeah, America, rah, you know, all that bullshit. You know, and the next thing you know, you find yourself surrounded and whatnot. It's like them people that went up there to Sturgis, or what is that, North Dakota or whatever. Where's Sturgis? You know, where they had the big motorcycle shit, and you had some Black Lives Matter or Antifa people that were like in the crowd. I'm like, nigga, do you not know where you are? Like you are completely surrounded. I'm like, the police officers can't protect you. If that mob wanted a piece of your ass, they could get a piece of your ass. I don't know. People just, they don't be doing the math. They don't look at the numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, okay. I'm like, y'all just, people just, I don't know. They got like these fantasies in their head, you know, how some shit can go down. shit can go down real bad. Whether you're armed or not armed, or whether you have numbers or not numbers, people really get what they perceive to be a little bit of an advantage, and then they get real emboldened and shit. You know what I mean? And they get then shit just goes completely wrong for them. You see this. I saw some video not too long ago. Some white guy, he was talking all type of racist big shit and everything. And the next thing you know, he got a fucking tiger uppercut, from the or a hook from the right, hit him and knocked his ass out. Man, motherfucker went on top of him, was like dink, 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 and he was out cold. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay. I'm like, telling you, shit can go down any type of way. Okay, when you talk about confrontation and people that got that type of fire and energy in them and that anger and all that other shit, and they just looking for a release, shit can go down any old way. Any old way. As big as I am, it can go down any old way. I could trip. Maybe I didn't tie my shoelaces that day or something, and I twist my ankle. I fall. Now me being big don't mean nothing. You ever run and shit and you twist your ankle and you're done at that point. You're fucking done. Okay? You ain't fighting. You twist your ankle, you ain't fighting nothing. Nothing. You get shot. Just one time you get shot in the arm. You're done. The fight is over. It's over. You don't need to die. You got shot. The fight's over. Whoever gets the first shot on target, they lose. The fight is over. 9 times out of 10. It's over. I don't understand these people that operate in worst case scenario. I'm like, everybody's out there, they're all in their feelings, guns are involved, mob mentality is involved. I'm like, man, I'm sitting there turning the fucking television on, looking at a 50-inch television and shit, and just sitting there and like in an air-conditioned space, enjoying myself. You know what I'm saying? Or fucking around playing Xbox or something. Like, I am not getting involved, in that bullshit. You got all these people all in their fields, and then that creates this whole atmosphere. We get all these people, they're all these keyboard warriors and shit. I've been calling out the white racist comments for years, ever since Obama, was elected. I mean, the shit they say is just he hates white people. I'm like, his mother's white. He was raised by his white grandparents. He hates white people. They're just retarded with it. And so, the internet is toxic. Most people are fucking toxic. They're in their fields. And I don't know, the internet kind of gives you a skewed reality of what's going on out here. Right? I don't know, it's like you see, now it's 2020, right? So you go out here, you see white people, and they don't say nothing to you. You don't say nothing to them. You don't know whether they support the idea that, police brutality has to stop, or whether they're looking at you like you're probably a part of Black Lives Matter. You don't even know how they fucking feel. It's just like a thick ass tension that just constantly fucking exists. And again, I saw it, all these black people that I tried to wake up and tell for years. And they were like, what your problem was, you talk about race too much. You're too focused on race. It's not the 60s anymore, for nobody's racist. Blah, 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 blah. All these coons, they run out there and spew that nonsense. Now where they at? You know what I'm saying? Like the racial tensions are high. People feeling some type of way. I'm like, y'all motherfuckers act like you don't read the comments. You don't read these comments and shit. I don't know how anybody can be a black conservative and not read the comments. The only person that is a black conservative that I think is even remotely balanced is Amazing Lucas. Always talking about the OTLs, the obey the law, them motherfuckers and shit. The Brandon Tatum coon types, the Candace Owen types, that just sit there and they're white apologists. They'll make all the excuses in the world for white people. But when it comes to black people, they ain't got nothing for black people. They'll be dead wrong on some shit. We'll never take it back. dead wrong on the Travis McMichael's court case, and with Ahmaud Arbery. And did they take any of that shit back? Nope. Even though it came to find out that the Travis McMichael was using racial epithets and whatnot because Roddy, what is his name? Roddy something. Not Roddy Rich. What's his name? Whatever his name is, the other white guy that one of them was filming, they charged him with murder, and that motherfucker started squealing like a pig. Squeak, 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 squeak. Like he just started squealing. So all that shit came out. Go watch the GBI investigation. It's about 3 hours long, man. That motherfucker was laying that shit out about what happened, what his opinions were on the case. How the shit went down, what really happened, how Ahmaud tried to get away and ran away 3 different times. It was just, he laid the sucker out. But yet, no apology from Candace Owens, no apology from Brandon Tate. Oh, we got it wrong. Didn't even have all the facts. And somebody called it out. Somebody called it out in my comment section about the white people. The same people be the ones talking about, wait till all the facts come out. Wait till all the facts come out. Right? But again, when it's shit that they want to jump on or pounce on, they don't wait until all the facts come out. And you start seeing this time and time again, and you start recognizing that across the board, people have low EQ, low emotional quotient. A bunch of, and that's why the media can easily manipulate people because people are emotional, non-critical thinkers. They're just in their emotion. They go to their respective camps, and just the stuff that again, I go to the white people's forums and everything. I go over there and I do my surveillance and I watch and listen and observe and everything and all the shit they say. It's hilarious, and they want to destroy white people, and then they start coming up with their Jewish conspiracy theories, and then they want to talk about how they want to destroy the family and all this other stuff. The irony is a lot of the stuff that they say is very similar to what black people have already experienced. That's the irony of the shit. They're talking about shit happening to them when it's stuff that already happened to the black community. I'm like, our black community already was demolished. The funny thing is everything that they identify wrong about the black community is a direct result of white supremacy destroying the black family. And then they want to sit there and try to tell black people how important the black family is. But I'm like, but y'all did everything in your power to destroy the black family. Or at least the white elites did. And then your average white person is just fucking clueless about it. Or, feels that there are so many degrees of separation from it that they don't have any impact on it. Or exactly. They don't have any impact on it. It's just nonsense. But, that's all I got to say about it. That's my take on, the whole situation. Feelings and emotions. That's all I see is everybody in their feelings and emotions. They don't even take the time to, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I got to catch myself. I'll see some shit and, get charged and, get all emotional about it and everything. But, I let myself marinate. I'm like, I'm going to wait until some more details come out and figure out what happens before I say anything on the shit. Right? Even right now, me making this video, I feel like it's slightly, premature. But, certain things just don't matter. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, people want to scream self-defense. I'm like, the boy's 17 years old. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. It's unlawful possession of a firearm. However you want to describe it, he shouldn't have had the gun. He shouldn't have been out there, period. Now, how that's going to play out in the criminal case and whatever he's going to be charged with or whatever, we'll see how that happens. But, he's just created a shitstorm for himself and the rest of his life. Okay? Jacob Blake, his situation, you can't just walk to a car and the cops are drawing down on you and reach into a vehicle. You can't even reach into your waist or reach into your coat or whatever. You can't be reaching when cops are drawn down on you. Period. You know, you see police training. They're like, gun, pop, 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 pop. Like, you see police training. Okay? Like that's how they train. Gun. You know, put the gun down. All that shit. And if they can't see it, their imagination is going to play tricks on them, and they're going to say, well, I thought he was reaching for a gun. And due to, what's it called? Qualified immunity, I think that's what the term is. You know, they're not going to get charged. They're not going to be charged with a crime. The idea that a police officer reasonably believes that such and such and such and such. So, you know, if you were the police officer, put yourself in the position of the police officer. If you were the police officer and you got Mr. Jacob Blake or whatever, criminal history or no criminal history, you got your gun drawn on him and you're telling him to stop moving, blah, blah, blah. He's just casually walking to the car. Okay, which, you know, for some people, when they want to do like, you know, murder by cop or suicide by cop or whatever, you know, there's like a calm before the storm, right? Because they're like at peace because they're going to allow themselves to die or whatever. So somebody acting calm like that that can be a bad sign. But I'm saying you're giving a lawful order. You're like, yo, stop. And he just go into his car. Then he reaches down into the car. What are you going to do? You going to wait for him to turn around possibly and start shooting the place up? Now, I don't know what past charges he has, but he got all type of stupid shit. You know, I think it was like domestic violence and assault with a deadly weapon or some shit. Like, he got all type of stupid shit going on. But again, that's irrelevant to what we saw on camera. What we saw on camera is a man casually walking to his car with guns drawn on him, and then he's reaching in the car. Like, why are you reaching in the car? They're telling you to stop. They're giving you lawful commands. And then, again, the cop's in a bad position. You've done reach down. He don't know what you do. Like, I'm like, okay. And what you saw unfold in the video is exactly what any reasonable person would predict would happen. You know? Now, I know some people, they got some European followers, and I'm like, yeah, well, in Europe, that wouldn't have happened. The police wouldn't have handled it that. Well, in Europe, y'all don't have gun rights. Okay? And your police officers are also not armed and shit. What they need to have is that wand from Demolition Man. You know, the one where you just tap somebody on the head and they just pass out and shit. Like, that's what they need. They need to come up with like a neuro, I don't even know what you want to call it, a neuro, incapacitator or some shit like that. You just hit somebody on the head with it and bam, they out cold. That's what they need. That would end a lot of this shit if they actually had, some of these weapons. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, why don't they just use fucking tranquilizers, man? I mean, you get a bear in a tree and shit, there's the bear. Hit the bear with the tranquilizer, and the next thing you know, the bear, comes falling out the tree and shit like that. I'm like, when you see these situations with these people that acting all crazy and everything, I'm like, wow, don't you wish they had like just a tranquilizer? Just tranquilize his ass. You know what I'm saying? Calm his ass the fuck down. I feel funny. Next thing you know, he collapses and then, wakes up in the hospital, handcuffed to a bed. What happened? It's like, that's what needs to happen. All this shit, where it's like Judge Dredd, saying, I am the law, and then they just out there just freaking killing people because they had a bad day. There's got to be a better way. I don't know what that better way is, but there's got to be a better way than always having to shoot and kill somebody. I think officers it's not even a matter of better training. I just think they need better tools. They need something that you get hit with that shit and that shit puts you out. Tasers ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because some motherfuckers be beasting these tasers. They get hit with a taser. I'm the juggernaut, bitch. You know what I mean? Like the taser doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it is. Like I said, they need to invent that wand from Demolition Man and just, just smack somebody on the head and they just out cold. That would be the nightstick of choice. But, that's just fantasy. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.